Hi guys, Jonelle here. Today we're going to go over the assessment plan. This one's called Assessment Plan Without PWN with Medi-Cal. Just know that this page is the assessment plan that we'd be giving out to families. Um, as you're going through this, please make sure that you're checking boxes as appropriate for the type of assessment that you guys will be completing. This should actually be initiated by the case manager but completed in collaboration with other team members and providers. Please do not just check off any and all assessments without contacting the current and appropriate providers. Check your services page for service providers that you will actually need to be contacting, both in direct services and up above if they are providing consult services. If this is a new concern that you're having, please make sure that you're going through a referral process and connect with your program specialist for those appropriate steps. Okay? Please don't just willy-nilly start marking anything on the assessment plan, okay? And make sure that with every assessment plan that goes out, a prior written notice must accompany it. Please check this special ed online handbook for samples of PWNs, but a PWN must accompany an assessment plan every time. Okay? So let's go ahead and start. The assessment type, you're just going to go ahead and indicate, determine what type of meeting you're going to be holding. More than one meeting can be included. So for the student, we're going to have an annual and a triennial. 30 days would be marked under interim. Okay, and you're just going to want to make sure that you're indicating the correct type of meeting that you will be holding. The assessment plan date, what date are you completing this assessment plan? These items that are marked here in red but also grayed out, they are auto-filled by SEIS, so you don't actually need to fill any of those in. But the English proficiency level is open. It does give you the ability to go in and change it, and you should be able to find this on your student information system. So currently in Fremont, we're using Illuminate, but it could change at any time. Just remember your student information system should have their English language proficiency level and just indicate that here. All right. So now that we get into the bulk and the nitty gritty of the assessment plan, what we're indicating here is what assessment is being completed, and the box below it indicates the type of specialist that's going to be assessing. Do not put a specific name of a specialist. Do not put, you're just going to want to indicate what type of specialist, because we're not holding any one person accountable for the test. It's going to be the type of assessor. So, for example, for the academic achievement, we have educational specialist. Okay. Health, we have, school nurse. But there are times where the school psychologist may also conduct a health history with the parent. So the school psychologist may be appropriate. But make sure, again, you're going to see a lot of kind of double dipping in these areas. Make sure that you are connecting with all the parties in your team so that it is appropriate. Okay. Intellectual development. Please make sure that you are connecting with your school psychologist on this one, because there are different directives for different ethnic or racial groups. Okay. So make sure that you're connecting with them on the intellectual development. Speech, language, communication. Okay. This section could include your speech and language pathologist. Make sure that you're marking what specialist will be assessing. Again, same thing, motor development. Okay. Typically, it's usually the school psychologist. But if your student does have any other motor related providers, such as APE, OT, or PT, they could be assessors in this area as well. But again, if you are looking at the possible referral for a student for OT, don't just mark this and send this out. There's a referral process, so make sure that you're connecting with your program specialist, okay? social, emotional, behavioral. This would be a school psychologist for initials and triennials. Um, and this box could actually also be completed by an ERMS assessor if an ERMS referral has been made and or approved. ERMS is educationally related mental health services. Okay. Adaptive behavior. This is something that the school psychologist could be doing. This section is going to be completed mainly for students who are working on a functional based or daily living skills program. So if the student is not, typically we wouldn't see that being checked off. Post-secondary transition, again, it would include it could be the case manager, educational specialist that's going to be providing this. It could be a school psychologist for initials. But this section does, it could include things such as like the transition questionnaires, inventories, interviews, things that you're going to be needing to use in order to complete the transition plan for a student. All right. Other, and here there's two boxes that are open. So essentially we would be able to write in what types of areas we would be assessing in and who would be assessing in these areas. So an example that we have could be observations, records review, interviews, questionnaires, or possibly assistive technology could be completed by, and then you would indicate which assessor would be completing them. So it does leave that open area. Same thing for alternative means of assessment. And this is where you're actually going to want to describe what types of alternative means you're going to be using to assess the student. So our example here is a school site could check this if they are prohibited from cognitively assessing students, and they would use curriculum-based assessments or work samples, portfolios, observations, or interviews. This could also be a combination of record reviews and different formal testing. Okay. Just make sure that when you are completing your assessment plan, you are, and I've said this multiple times already, that you're collaborating with all the providers. And some people just get the provider's input and go ahead and add it to the assessment plan, or they'll just let the team know, hey, I will be sending out an assessment plan on this date. Please go in and complete your sections, and then kind of do a follow-up. So depending on how your team on site works, just make sure that you have that collaboration going on. Okay. So for the remainder of the form, make sure that you're inputting the contact information, your position, where the family can reach you at and at what address. And the family, this will get sent home to the family either via mail or via email. Again, sending forms home via a student's backpack is not always advised without notification to the family. If the parent asks to just send it home in their student's backpack, it can be done. It's not always the most, accurate way of getting it to the family. So it is, if you can send it via hard copy through mail or through email, then we're more likely to get it to the family. But just notify the parent that the assessment plan will be going home, and if they can sign it and return it back to you as soon as possible. And then once you get it back, so the parent will go ahead and indicate whether or not they want to consent to the assessment, if they do not, or if they would like other assessments to be considered. Please be aware that when you do get this back, you are really looking here. Do not just look at a signature and a date and then move forward with the assessment. There are times that parents have said they do not want the assessments completed, and the team has gone forward. So it puts us in a sticky situation if the team has moved forward with assessment without an actual consent. So please be aware of which boxes are being checked when the parents return this or the adult student return this back to you. Okay. And I'll scroll a little further. On the assessment plan, there is a section here called Date Received by LEA. Once you get the assessment plan back from the family, you're going to document what date you received it back, because that will actually initiate your 60-day timeline for an initial. But teams still will need to comply with the triennial compliance date regardless of when the assessment plan has been returned. Okay? And you're going to want to make sure that this is uploaded or scanned and then uploaded to the future IEP as an attachment. And then you're going to just email your team members that you've received it back, and everyone can go ahead and commence with assessments. All right, this section up here, the Medi-Cal portion, if the parent does check off yes or no and sign and date, this is also on the parent consent form, but you can go ahead and check out the handbook in regards to the information about Medi-Cal. Essentially lets us as a district reimburse for any services that could be provided to a student who is eligible for Medi-Cal. Okay. If the parent does not fill this section out, it's not mandatory, so don't worry about it. But when you do send home your assessment plan, please remember that it goes home with a prior written notice and a copy of the parent rights, the procedural safeguards. So you can have those on hand as well, so that the family has all of the forms necessary and we are compliant. When a parent does return this, this would be their information, their address, phone number. But again, if they don't fill this out, it's not mandatory. We still have other information, and they can sign Medi-Cal on the consent page at the IEP as well. All right. Okay, guys, thank you.